Ooh, we got some big shifts coming. It's really exciting. Everything that's been happening this year, all the darkness that we see coming out. This is what has to happen. All this darkness needs to come to light in order for us to enter the golden age. So, getting right into the astrology aspect, the winter solstice, the day of the least amount of sun, the darkest day of the year, we are going to experience 6 planetary alignments on this day. This is the first time this has happened in almost 6,000 years. It's not a coincidence that it's this year that all of these alignments are happening. 6 alignments. So we have the Sun aligned with Mercury in Sagittarius. We have Lilith aligned with Pluto in Sagittarius. We have Saturn and Jupiter aligned in Capricorn. And, many other planetary movements that are all in a line with a uncovering, a bringing to light of what needs to be changed in traditions and just structure in our society. So, I'll start with one of the asteroids, Pallas. This is the negotiator. This is the asteroid of wisdom. It was named after a story from Athena and one of her handmaids that was betraying her. So she saw the plan to make things right, and she killed Pallas. But what this is, Pallas right now is in Capricorn. It's going to be responsible planning. It's going to be discipline that we need for the shift. We could see this in like an aggressive, domineering aspect, but it's going to be sharp perception, showing us how to plan what needs to happen with, the biggest one is Saturn and Jupiter being completely aligned. The planet of restriction and the planet of expansion. They're going to boost each other all the way into the age of Aquarius. This marks the start of the age of Aquarius. So, there's talk that the Gregorian calendar, that there's a difference in the calendars, and that 2012 was actually supposed to be 2020. So December 21st, 2020 is December 21st, 2012. And we could see that this lines up because of what we know about the stars. Ancient people knew about astrology. They were able to see what was aligning and, what, they could predict the future in terms of what would align at what time. And Saturn and Jupiter aligning in Capricorn, the planet of expansion, the planet of limitations, aligning, being completely aligned. We're going to see really ambitious energy. We're going to see the path to get to work. And with Jupiter, it's all going to be about, looking at the plan, looking at I got a cheat sheet here. I wrote down a bunch of stuff. But it's all about making the plan. It's all about figuring out what traditions we need to reassess. All of these fucking pedophiles coming to light this year. We know that there's a big change coming. We can't just go back to the way things were where we were all living paycheck to paycheck. That's why you have such a push for a cultural revolution right now. That's why you have such a push for social change in all aspects. So, for those who aren't familiar with Lilith, Lilith is it's like the furthest point. It's like the counterbalance of the moon's rotation. So it's like the dark side of the moon, essentially. Lilith in Sagittarius is going to be self-righteous to the highest extreme. It's going to be, it's going to be vilifying people. It's going to be validating people. And it's all going to be based on how much they're living their truth, or if they're trying to use this energy to pull the wool over our eyes, as we've seen this year with the fake pandemic. I know that's a controversial point, but it's very true. I'll go into that a little bit later. The Sun in Sagittarius, this speaks about liberation and change. We're going to be honest. We're going to be headstrong. We're going to be focusing on our traditions that unite us. That's why the winter solstice. It aligns that the winter solstice is in Sagittarius season. we're gathering with our families for Christmas. Like, all of our traditions are united around, this time. We're going to be looking at how to unite. And this is aligned with Mercury. Mercury is the closest planet to the sun, the closest planet to the source. We're going to be getting information about how to live this Sagittarian kind of free will expression of energy. And the sun and Mercury being aligned, this is huge. We're going to be receiving a lot of information from source at this time. And it's all going to be aligned with Jupiter and Saturn being conjuncted, and it just rocketing us into a plan of hard work and discipline that's going to carry us into the new age. So we had, like I just said, Lilith and Sagittarius is going to be self-righteous to the extreme. People are going to be vilified or validated based on how they're living their truth. That's going to be aligned with Pluto and Sagittarius. We're going to be restructuring society and our traditions, and all of this is going to be coming to light. So just once more, going through all those. Pallas, the planet of negotiation and wisdom, is going to be in Capricorn, very structured planning. Sun in Sagittarius, Mercury in Sagittarius, a lot of information coming from source about how to restructure our traditions, how to live our lives more aligned and unite with the people around us. It's Christmas time around then. That's everything that we look for in this time of year. Again, Lilith and Sagittarius, Pluto and Sagittarius, self-righteousness, vilifying, validating just based on how we're living our truth. Pluto is always at the edge of our peripheral perception. It's going to be thinking about how to restructure society. It's going to be noticing the things just on the edge of what we usually perceive in our day-to-day lives. All of the pedophilia coming to life this year, this is meant to happen right now. We're not going to stay in this system where we're living paycheck to paycheck and all of our kids are getting taken under our noses. We're not going to let that happen anymore. So then we go down to Saturn, Jupiter. Perfect conjunction. All of these 6 planetary conjunctions. First time in 6,000 years. Like, it's not a coincidence that this is happening this year. Not necessarily in alignment, but still very helpful in terms of what we're experiencing this year. Neptune is in Aquarius. Jupiter and Saturn being aligned right now is the mark of the dawn of the new age, the start of the Aquarian age. Neptune in Aquarius. Neptune is the planet of wisdom. We're going to be receiving that wisdom from Aquarius. That's why this is all conjuncted around, bringing more awareness to society, bringing more awareness to what needs to be done. Our moon is going to be in Pisces that day. Our emotions are going to be living in both worlds. We're going to see between the lines of what affects spirit and what here on earth affects spirit. All of our emotions are going to be centered around what's deep, what's real, and it's centered around these changes. We may be prone to daydreaming. There's definitely going to be a lot of oppression from the opposite side that's more vilifying than validating in this time. And we're also going to see Mars, the action energy planet in Pisces. What this means is if we're not, thinking about what needs to be changing right now, Mars and the moon in Pisces, it's really going to be moving us into a non-productive direction. So we really have to think about what we're manifesting in this time. The winter solstice, darkest day of the year, it's a day to meditate. It's a day to think about what you need to work on, what you need to grow about. And then pretty much all year, same with Neptune, but Uranus is in its placement. It is in Aries. Uranus is the planet of breaking ties, breaking free. Aries is the most impatient, impetuous planet. This entire year, we've seen people just popping off the hinges, trying to get things done, trying to reach social change. And, it is needed. It is definitely needed. But Aries energy of Uranus right now, it's trying to bring all this change out at once. Aries is the warrior. Aries is really trying to, bring its fire and make the action happen. So, big changes, December 21st. Who knows what the actual physical events of that might be? There's so many various factors going on right now. But yeah, I feel like it is related to everything that we're seeing right now with the coronavirus, because we shouldn't have ever locked down for a virus with 99% survival rating. The CDC has come out the other day saying 96% of all cases were with 2.6 comorbidities. So what you have heart disease and lung cancer and a little bit of diabetes, and they say you died of COVID. And then at the same time, there's a Linko protocol, the known protocol to work and heal patients within 48 hours is being completely rejected. Hundreds of doctors silenced. And it doesn't line up. We realize, we walk around, this isn't a plague. This isn't anything like actually really scary. We definitely have loved ones to protect. We should definitely protect our loved ones. But if you look at the statistics with what happened in the pandemic, 40% of people who have deceased from COVID this year were in nursing homes in blue states that were advocating the hardest for the lockdown. And at the same time, the lockdown has destroyed our economy. It has destroyed jobs. It has created depression. If you know anything about the story of Atlantis, or the myth of Atlantis, they say that all 13 gateways of Earth were open, and humanity was living fully aligned. They say we had like extra DNA that gave us, a better life in some way. So supposedly Atlantis fell by some sort of enemy attacking our gateways. And if you know anything about meditation and the chakras, the chakra systems are all connected. All of our energy is connected. But what's important is to know that the root chakra, the bottom chakra, is the foundation. And what does the root chakra deal with? It deals with fear and security. It's our sense of self. It makes us feel important, like you stand like a mountain. You're strong, you're here, the wind will not knock you down. And so when you think about what COVID has been doing this entire time, a virus with a less than 0.1% of a mortality rate, the entire plan has been to attack us based on fear, to instill us with fear. What this does is it rattles our root chakra. So all of the other 6 chakras, the ones above it even too, they're all getting rattled because the legs are getting kicked out from under us with all this fear. And it's scary to think about, but as soon as we realize what this is, we know exactly how to stop it. We just meditate on our root, we meditate on all of our chakras, and we meditate on, the truth, what we know to be true. We maybe know 1 or 2 people that have gotten sick, but we know that the doctors who have really been making a difference have been silenced this entire time. We know that we can be healthy. And so we look to people like Dr. Sebi, who was going out saying, I can cure cancer, I can cure blindness, I can cure heart disease, I can cure all these things. And how did he do it? He did it with an alkaline diet, with a vegan diet. I'm not fully vegan yet, but I'm definitely getting there. So there's a big controversy about Dr. Sebi. They say Dr. Sebi was killed for challenging the big pharma. And people say, oh, that's ridiculous. Big pharma would never do that. Our doctors take care of us. Our country is so great. But the history of big pharma stems all the way back to John Rockefeller. If you know anything about John Rockefeller, he got to start making a monopoly over newspapers. He owned pretty much all of the media in America. And then he realized that the oil industry had a lot of lucrative potential, but it was somewhat dangerous. So he figured out a new system to get the oil to move properly, created pipelines and things like that, and he dominated the oil industry. One thing he also realized is that you could make pharmaceuticals from petroleum. The majority of our pharmaceuticals are from petroleum. So at the point where he started making all of the pharmaceuticals for the company, he also owned all of the newspapers, all of the media, and was able to say alternative medicine, or to say holistic medicine was alternative medicine, and call it quack, call it not real. And so you see even like rappers like Nipsey Hussle, who advocates all about his people being, subjugated and systematically attacked. Ever since the drug war started, police have been systematically, routinely just going through the same neighborhoods trying to meet their quotas. And Nispey was really advocating for how to get his people out of it. He said, you got to adapt the Nispey hustle. You have to, grind your way out so you can get capital and make moves to reinvest in your community. And he was working with Dr. Sebi on a documentary just before he died. I don't know if it's a line. Dr. Sebi's family has come out and said that, there was no foul play. So I can't say for sure. But I do know that these two great men were taking on the pharmaceutical industry at a time right before Event 201 started, where Bill Gates was running a simulation in 2019 on a virus just like coronavirus, and simulating what the masks would be, how we would enforce mandates, everything that we see now. It was already planned in Event 201, but somehow we couldn't invest $1 billion into getting the masks right away. Nothing really lines up. If you know anything about Bill Gates' family, his father, his grandfather, and his great-grandfather were all eugenicists. If you don't understand what a eugenicist is, it's the study of how to arrange reproduction within a human population to increase the occurrence of heritable characteristics regarded as desirable. What this means is that Bill Gates and his family think that they are the philanthropists responsible for dictating the genetics of humanity, how we're growing. And it's a little weird because just seeing what he had done with kind of claiming that he was the inventor of computers and then selling the software to IBM, all at 18. And in this time at 18, he was portraying himself as like this this young rad hippie guy. And then now you see him and he's like talking all nasally and he's wearing a sweater to let you know he's a good guy, all the while purporting vaccines that use RNA to change the cell of your body, to change the cells of your body and fight this virus as a vaccine. But then we also see cases of people contracting polio from his vaccine right now. So many people are contracting polio because of his vaccines. So if you look into Bill Gates' father, William Gates, he was on the board for Planned Parenthood when it was first conceived, and he was responsible for putting Planned Parenthood's 75% of all Planned Parenthoods in black neighborhoods. And just seeing what we've come out with this year of Planned Parenthood selling fetal tissue, doing all sorts of dark, crazy things, and knowing that him and his family are eugenicists. What are they doing messing around with that? Why is he in charge of this pandemic? Why is he in charge of what we're going to do about this pandemic? And why didn't we have more of a plan if Event 201 already, forecasted something like this to happen so that we could, run the simulation and know what to do in case of anything like this happening? But, so I was listening to a new album the other day, Big Sean, big rapper, great guy. He talks a lot about, good romance and working hard, not taking any shit from people who don't deserve any space in his life. He wrote a song called Lucky Me, and here's some of the lyrics. He says, "Man, lucky me. I was diagnosed with a heart disease at 19, could barely stand on my feet. Doctors said they had to cut it open, put a pacemaker on it to put it back on beat. Till my mama took me to holistic doctors, and they prescribed me magnesium for 2 weeks. Went back to the regular doctor and said, huh, damn, looks like we don't need to proceed. That's how I know Western medicine weak." So what do we know about alkaline diets? What do we know about what Dr. Sebi was purporting? We know that there's over 7 kinds of magnesium. We know that herbs like turmeric, sage, oregano, so many things can be the only medicine we need. Because if we eat all these acidic foods in our diets, we're going to we're going to get sick. This is terrain theory. This is the real theory of how health is kept. But it's not accepted here in America because of the pharmaceutical industry being backed by people like Rockefeller and having incentives, you know? If politicians can be bought out, so can doctors. So we know that this pandemic is fake. We know, I mean, the virus itself is real. It's very real. But, you know, the conception of the virus, there's so much controversy on whether it came out of a lab, you know, why China lied to the world. And we know that things don't add up. We know that we're looking for the world to realign right now. And that's what we see in the stars. You know, this winter solstice is going to be huge. 6 planetary alignments, the first time in 6,000 years. You have the sun aligned with Mercury and Sagittarius. You know, we're going to be receiving a lot of information about liberation and unity, living true to our traditions. Lilith and Pluto in Sagittarius as well. You know, self-righteousness to the extreme. Whether that's going to be more virtue signaling over the fear that's being thrown at us from this virus, or it's going to be, you know, the people standing up for getting their rights back, getting their lives back, and, you know, taking what they need to go to work and make money for their families. Biggest one, Saturn and Jupiter in alignment in Capricorn right now. We're going to see, you know, the planet of limitation, the planet of expansion. They're going to be working together to help us formulate a plan to reestablish society. You know, take that for whatever you like, but I ask that you look at the information that I've presented today and do your own research. You can find a quote from William Gates. It says, "It seems that every new corner we turn, the Rockefellers are already there, and in some cases, they have been there a long, long time. We decided to stop working against them and to just work with them and emulate how they were doing things." Just let that sink in for a second. So what do we know about this virus? The first thing it attacked was our sense of security. You know, our ability to go to work, our ability to go to church and hold communion, you know, unite with our community, and making us think that, you know, we were all prone to getting this dangerous virus. And what do we know about our chakra centers? If we're just living up in the clouds, you know, we're living for our crown, our connections to God, or our mind's eye, thinking we know it all, or our throat just like spouting out what we think is true, just virtue signaling and, you know, projecting. We need to be aligned fully. We need to go through all of our energy centers. If they're attacking our feet, we need to reinforce them. We need to stick our feet in the dirt. We need to meditate on the root chakra. So that's why right now I'm launching my chakra system meditation program right now. As part of the unveiling of my roadmap program coming out September 15th, I'm going to be releasing one chakra meditation every week for all of September through October. So right now, if you go to my page, I'll have a link for a free guided meditation on the root chakra so that you can, you know, release some of the fear, stand tall like a mountain. A good mantra for this is, I am strong, I am firm, I am a mountain. You know, when you feel the wind, feel how it cuts through like your body, like you're in a wind tunnel. You are here, right now. Don't let the fear take you out of your body. Don't let the fear cause you to project and overproject from any other energy center. Be fully aligned. Look up what's happening right now. Look into it, because now more than ever, we need to know what's going on. We need to involve ourselves with politics. We need to, because it affects everybody. It affects everybody. There's no way around it. You can't. you can't sit on the sidelines anymore. I know it's scary. I know it can be a lot, but you can find strength in community. We need to build our communities back up. We need to go back to church, whatever church that is for you. And this winter solstice, we're going to be thinking about how to restructure our traditions and find this meaning again. We're not going to allow pedophiles to run our country. We're going to make a stand. We're going to change something. Decided to put the American flag behind me today. But yeah, big change is coming. Don't know how it'll manifest physically, but stay in tune, stay aligned, charge your chakras, and stay safe.